Hello, Mercedes.
Hello.
Hi, it's Beverly. The only person I don't see there was a speaker is Assemblywoman Pat Fahey.
Okay.
She is, I don't see her. She's not logged in. But that's not to say she might not, come on. So just we'll be on the lookout for her. Well, other than that, everybody is accounted for. Okay.
Okay.
Bev, just as an FYI, we are live on Facebook, and the webinar is also live right now.
All right. Shall we get everything started today? If everyone is doing good today, I want to see a thumbs up from everybody. It took a lot for us to be here, and I'm glad to see everyone's beautiful faces. Hello, I'm Mercedes Williams. I'm Spectrum News reporter and anchor, and it's my honor to host this event tonight. And this is one that I think will be informative, but will also help you get to know some awesome people that are doing some awesome things in our community. But first, it's my pleasure right now to welcome Deborah Brown Johnson. She's the president of the Albany NAACP chapter. Deborah?
Good afternoon. Thank you. On behalf of the officers and the executive committee of the NAACP, the Albany chapter, I welcome you to this kickoff event. I am pleased that the branch is a recipient of a grant from Spectrum, and it is through this grant that we are looking to educate, orientate, and expose youth, teens, and adults to civic engagement and what that means in their communities and how that shows up for them. And so tonight is the beginning of that activity, and it involves the partnership with the Albany City School District. And so we welcome them. We welcome the community programs that are represented here tonight. And we're looking forward to a long-lasting relationship and partnership. Now, I would like to introduce Najee from Charter Communication.
Good evening and welcome to everyone joining us today. Thank you for that warm introduction, Deborah. My name is Najee Roach. I'm the Director of State Government Affairs for Charter Communication. It's very good to see some familiar faces on this evening's panel. We're very excited to have been a part of this amazing initiative. I'd first like to thank the NAACP, People's Perception Project, and the Albany City School District for inviting us to be a part of this event. It's an honor to be here and to represent my company, Charter Communications. We have over 96,000 employees and serve more than 31 million customers in 41 states through our Spectrum brand. And that's not just providing state-of-the-art residential and business services, including internet, TV, mobile, and voice, but also part of our community engagement initiatives is to make sure that we support wonderful causes like this in every aspect of our business. And that a big part of that commitment is strengthening the communities that we serve. This commitment means exceeding our customers' expectations as we strive to deliver high quality products and services, and also supporting organizations like this that do such great work with our youth and to strengthen our communities. At Charter, we work with a variety of nonprofit organizations like the NAACP. It's part of our goal to support the important work that the organization is doing in our community, both locally and around the country. We are very proud of our partnership with the Albany NAACP, and tonight's event is just one of the shining moments of that partnership. In recognition of this important work that the NAACP is doing in the civil rights and engagement arena, I'm excited to announce Charter's donation of $10,000 to the Albany NAACP. This funding will support the launch of its new civic engagement and education programs in partnership with the People's Perception Project and in collaboration with Albany High School. We thank and praise the NAACP for all of the really significant work that they've been doing in this community, and Charter is proud to join you tonight in celebrating the launch of these impactful new programs. Thanks again to everyone joining us, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. That is a big announcement. Wow, everybody give a round of applause to that $10,000. That's really awesome. So, and of course, it's all about synergy and working with the community and some key people in our community. And of course, I'm sure most of you are familiar with our elected officials. And if you're not tonight, let me introduce you to our Congressman, U.S. Congressman Paul Tonko, and we'll have Assembly Member Patricia Fahey joining us, as well as we have with us tonight the City of Albany's Mayor, Mayor Kathy Sheehan. So Mayor, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you very much. And this is really exciting news. I know that all of us in the city have really been thinking a lot about our young children in the city, our school children, and what this year has meant for them. And I think that we are all called to step up to ensure that we're doing all that we can to help them to be successful. And, you know, we know that particularly as students get older, and move on into high school, you know, once they get behind by a certain amount, often they feel as though it's not worth it to stay with it. And we know that it is. And I think that we can really, by working together and listening to our students, listening to our families, ensure that we are doing all that we can to make sure that we have tools like this in place to engage, to inspire, and to ensure that young people in the city of Albany, notwithstanding the challenging year that they have experienced, recognize that during this year, they've developed some really incredible skills. They've demonstrated resilience, and that the skills and the resilience that they've built up over this year is going to stand them well as we now focus on ensuring that we move forward, get kids that have fallen behind up to grade level, and really make sure that they're thinking about their future and all of the opportunity that is available to them. And I'll just close by saying that oftentimes, actually, it just happened last week. I had a young fourth grader from Schuyler Achievement Academy who asked me how I became mayor. And I told him the answer that I always tell kids, and they roll their eyes, but I said, I did my homework when I was in fourth grade. That's how I became mayor. And I think us as elected officials can really talk about our paths, because kids are interested in that, of what were the skill sets, right, that got us to where we are. And oftentimes it started with that special relationship with the teacher, that special relationship with the subject matter that really inspired us and got us excited and interested. Or just thinking that, you know, if I want to get to where I'm going to go, I've got to stick with this, even when it's hard, even when it's something that I don't necessarily want to do. So I really want to give a huge shout out to Charter, because it takes partners from across the community to support this work. And I look forward to seeing the fruits of this grant and the work that the NAACP is going to be doing with this funding and with this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Like you, I'm always seeing people out in the community like yourself, and as well as Congressman Paul Tonko. I'm always seeing him out there in the community. Did you want to say a couple of words, Congressman?
Absolutely. I'm not muted, am I? No? Can you hear me, Mercedes?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Hey, Mercedes, thank you. And good to join with Mayor Sheehan and Assemblywoman Fahey to share some thoughts here. They're great community partners, and we enjoy working on behalf of the Greater Capital Region. Let me thank certainly Spectrum and Charter, the Charter organization, Charter Communications, for this grant. So to you and to Najee, thank you for the investment in what I know will prove very lucrative return. And also to our leadership at the Albany school systems, our superintendent, Kawita Adams, thank you. And thank you, President Brown Johnson, Deborah Brown Johnson, and the Albany chapter of NAACP. All of that work that will come through this partnership, and Beverly Ivy knows as a program manager, there's a lot of excitement about this, and rightfully so. So I'm happy to be here through the kickoff of this civic engagement education program. We think about the many, many issues that come before every level of government. And the beauty of a democracy is we can enter into that discussion. We, as the great amount of people, can communicate with leadership at any level and tell them what our thoughts are. Without that, you don't get anything. You need to let people know what's on your mind. So to all of the teens, all of the young adults, all of the adults who will be part of this program, know that this is about empowerment. This is taking your needs, your ideas, and allowing you to reap what you sow. And as you sow those seeds, continue to nurture them, because some change takes a while. Now look at what has happened in the state of Georgia. I'm at the federal level. I work in Washington on behalf of the Capital Region. Stacey Abrams has made a huge difference with her civic engagement. She is pushing back. She is the counterforce to those who are trying to roll back the opportunity to vote. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought and fought and fought, died in that battle to allow people to have the right to vote. 43 states, I believe, are working right now to suppress voter participation. And we know a lot of it is aimed at minority communities, people of color, people of different backgrounds that they don't want to see vote. So we are going to engage in several opportunities to make certain that everyone has an opportunity to vote. You can be part of that force that pushes against those who are trying to silence the voice of so many at the polls. Imagine being sued for or fined for bringing food or drink to people standing in line to vote. How ludicrous is that? So to all who are listening, please think about how you would like to combat climate change. Part of the fundamentals that I'm introducing address environmental justice, making certain that neighborhoods and communities that have been taken advantage of as we create our electric generation will be responded to. They will be heard. We will do all we can to improve the air quality in all neighborhoods. So environmental justice is important, as are those voting rights, climate change, workforce development as we move into a new economy. So we could go on and on. There are many issues, but please know this is your chance to empower yourself, your neighborhood, your community. You will offer your thoughts, and by engaging yourself, someone may even cause you to rethink your thinking, and it will stretch your thinking and perhaps transform your thinking as you might do that to others. So great project, great to be with you. Success, success, success. I pray, I hope this will be great. So empower and connect with civic engagement. Thank you, Mercedes. You're muted, Mercedes.
Thank you, Congressman. I think that we were still trying to be joined by Assemblywoman Patricia Fahey. I don't know if she's on the line yet. Are you there? Okay, seems like she's still trying to make her way to us. But this whole event has been very thoughtfully planned out and brought to you by the program's organizers. And back to introduce them now is Deborah Brown Johnson. Deborah?
Thank you. Thank you, Mercedes. And thank you, Mayor Sheehan and Congressman Tonko. We appreciate you being a part of our program this evening. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Ivy. Is that me giving the back that sound? Because would like to introduce Ms. Beverly Ivy, who is the chairperson of the Civic Engagement Committee with the Albany NAACP. Ms. Ivy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And as she said, my name is Beverly Ivy. I am the branch secretary for Albany NAACP, as well as the chair of the Civic Engagement Committee. We are so delighted to be a part of the Spectrum Grant and working with local organizations and the Albany High School students in this project about social justice. This is a series that we've been doing. This is the third of a series that the Civic Engagement Committee has done. Back in September, we did a program called Why Vote. We looked at young people from the ages of 18 to 35 and asked, are you voting? What are you doing? You are a demographic we want to address. So we held our first series then. Then we followed up in November with Beyond Election Day. Now you voted. What happens? Your candidate won, your candidate lost. What do you do? So we had a panel discussion of women in politics to talk about what do you do? How do you hold your elected officials accountable? What do you do if your official did not win? Are they still accountable to you? And so that was the second of a series. And so now we are embarking on our third series. And now our partnership has grown between the NAACP, P3, and now the City School District of Albany and social studies teachers. So we are excited. Civic engagement is so important. We want our children and young people and adults to be engaged, know what's happening in their community, why their involvement is so important, and what better way to start is with high school students and as they begin to embark on their career. And so I'm going to move on, and we're going to bring in recorded message from the superintendent, Kawita Adams. The Board of Ed had called a meeting tonight. She had planned to be here, but we do have a recorded message that will be set up.
Beverly, Beverly? This is Deborah. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I see that Assemblywoman Patricia Fahey is on the screen, so I don't know if you want to go to her before we go.
Yes.
The
Absolutely, yes. Oh, hi, Pat, you're on mute.
Okay, I hope, so in other words, Congressman Tonko has already spoken then?
Yes.
Okay, sorry I was a little bit late, but Bev, just picking up on your words a moment ago. First of all, thank you for letting me get in here. But picking up on your words, I was just doing honoring a number of women of distinction for the Capital Region. Part of that is every one of them have been engaged in some way or another, and primarily in working with youth or helping to preserve our history, such as Rep Road in this region. And it is so important, and we've learned the lessons in a horrible way of not keeping people civically engaged. And those were most recently on January 6th, when we saw the symbol of our nation's democracy, the world's democracy, and that is our nation's capital, being invaded. And part of it is because, in my view, people weren't engaged, and they're really in so many ways misinformed, and we see when information can get distorted. So I so appreciate what you were doing. I was honored to be on one of the panels you mentioned earlier this year, because civic engagement is, to me, more important than ever. In some ways, Zoom has helped it, but in some ways we're more disconnected. And starting with our students is critical. I think you know I've been pounding the pavement to try to get all of our schools opened. We've had some real disparities with some of our families not having a choice on whether to send their children to school or only being able to go remotely. And we've seen some real disparities, including here in Albany and many of our upstate urban areas. So Bev, I've known you since you were one of our principals. And I love that you never really retired, because you have stayed as engaged as ever. And I know your passion for engaging youth is more critical than ever. And I really think even just the last 4 years, we had a very difficult 4 years, and our congressman probably alluded to that. And it really has shown us we need to engage folks. We need our young people to remind us of how important it is, because democracy matters, government matters, being engaged matters, and it all starts with volunteer work as well. And by the way, I see one of my kids also went to Albany High, so I'll do anything for Albany. Love both, and I see one of my daughter's teachers, Ms. Evans. So thank you for all you do, and it's great to see so many young people. I just wish we could see you in person, because this is hard. This is really hard. And I know it's not the norm, so be patient with us as we get all of your schools open. And huge kudos for doing this and staying active. So Bev, sorry if I went on too long, but thank you, and thank you to the entire chapter, Gwen and others of the NAACP, because I know you've never lost the passion, and that's so critical, that we keep passing the baton and making sure our young people continue this hard work as we go forward. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Fahey. Thank you so much, indeed, indeed. So we are going to queue up the recorded message from Superintendent Kawita Adams.
The City School District of Albany is so very excited to participate in the partnership with the NAACP and P3 in order to provide our students with an opportunity to go beyond civic awareness to direct civic engagement and social justice advocacy. I want to say thank you so very much and welcome to all of you for this 6-month program. We are excited and thank you again to the NAACP, P3, and the Albany High faculty and staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Kawita Adams. I know she was recorded. We also would like to have a few words from P3, People's Perception Project, of which we had partnered with in the first 2 of our series and now in our 3rd series. So I'll bring you P3.
Thank you, Beverly, for the introduction. My name is Sierra Sangetti Daniels. I am a co-founder of People's Perception Project. A lot of you probably have never heard of us. That's because we are a new organization. We are a think tank that works to disrupt white dominant culture in media and education. The reason that we chose white dominant culture is because in November 2019, I met my partner, Eric. I was working at a TV station in the Capital Region, and he was working as a history teacher. We both were attempting to do social justice work in our fields, and we kept hitting roadblock after roadblock. It was really difficult to get the work done in our spaces that we wanted to get done. So together we started brainstorming and reading and learning and trying to identify what those roadblocks actually were. Turns out it was white dominant culture and that our media and education systems were built by white people for white people. And that's why it was really hard to do social justice work in those spaces. So we came together. We decided to leave our spaces so we can build programs just like this that put BIPOC communities at the front of the work. And that's what we're really here to do today. So I'll let Eric talk a little bit more about what we're doing today.
Thanks so much, Sierra. My name's Eric Kossoff. And again, we're a new company. We're actually an LLC as well. And we're working to achieve our mission through redistributing power in newsrooms and classrooms through networking. We try to use our space and our time to support that cycle of interactions between journalists, educators, and the communities that they work in. Activity to put the right people at the front. That's why our work in this project works to act as a strong first step to support the empowerment of students and the incredible leaders in their community within the progression of civic learning in the Capital Region. And with that, we want to step aside to hear from some more great people, but most importantly, the community organizations and their words to the students. So again, thank you so much to the NAACP, Albany High School, and the school district and the work that you've done with us on this. And we really appreciate these first steps towards changing the spaces and getting some new voices at the front.
Absolutely, and we're very excited to see politicians at this event, and we definitely hope that you'll be able to stay for the duration because we have some really strong leaders in here, and they deserve for you to hear every word that they say tonight. So thanks again to the community organizations, and I cannot wait to hear you all speak.
Thank you, Eric and Sierra. We appreciate that. Like the superintendent said, this program is crafted to partner with the Albany City Schools and city school districts like that to get kids excited about community engagement. And here to talk more about how that'll be done, I'm joined by Albany High School's Secondary Social Studies and World Languages Instructional Supervisor, Michael Elliott. Michael?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here tonight. And thank you especially for allowing us to engage in this work for our kids. As I began last year as the social studies supervisor, it really became my goal to try to civically engage all of our kids, and we have to build up to that. And this opportunity could not have happened at a better time. And it just so happens that we have phenomenal teachers with us who are really excited to engage in that work. I'd like to thank the NAACP, People's Perception Project, Spectrum for the grant, and all of the organizations that are here this evening for offering this opportunity to our kids. We're looking to engage in this partnership to really enhance the learning experience and hopefully to inspire our students to remain active change agents through civic engagement. I'd like to introduce the people who have their boots on the ground and really do a tremendous job of working with our kids. So much has been done so far this year, and this is really going to be the cherry on top. And we do look forward to engaging in this work moving forward in years to come. So in this particular meeting, who will speak tonight, we have our government and economics teachers, Leah Evans and Amanda Weckler. We also have with us Jessie LaPola. She leads our Falcon Council, which is the student government at Albany High School. And joining us in the Facebook live chat is Sean Fitzsimons, who's our AP government teacher. All of them in their own ways have reached out to local politicians and other agencies and organizations to really partner with, and bringing everybody together in this format is really a great way to start this work. And I look forward to all of the organization's presentations. And our kids are also pretty excited to engage in this as well. So I'm going to turn this over to Amanda and Leah to discuss just for a brief minute what the elements of our project are and some of the ways that we've prepared our kids for this experience. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, I'm Amanda Weckler. I've been teaching in Albany for about 18 years now. So this is, I'm so excited to be engaging in this work with all of you and my students. And I just want to thank everybody who's here for their support and their involvement in this, because it is so important. At the end of every year, we've been working on developing a capstone project for our students, in which they choose a topic that is of importance to them, something that they want to work on, something that they want to work to change. And they develop a project around it and a presentation with the goals of identifying government leadership that could work for that change, and to propose change or to raise awareness about topics. And something that we've always wanted to do is to get our students more involved in the community. And so this project really came along and gave us the help that we needed to get there. So our students will choose a topic that is important to them. They provided some questions and some ideas that are concerning to them, and they know what's going on in the community, and they know what they want to see changed. And so they will hopefully, they will choose to engage with an organization, and our goal at this point in time is to have them raise awareness about the work that an organization is doing, to interview the people involved with it, and then to create an informational product about that organization. And our hope, of course, is that they will choose to engage beyond that work, to find their passion and to continue to stay involved, and that the work that they do will also help to engage students. So that's our project in a nutshell. And I'm going to turn it over to Leah Evans to talk about the work that our students have done thus far. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here and be part of this work. As you all know, our students are incredible young people, and I think that you know that our students are the change for the future that we want to see, and they're going to impact our community and what they have to offer. And one of the most exciting things that we've engaged with Beverly and Sierra and Eric is having our students vocalize some of the things that they want to see within our community change for the better. Some of the things that we've been working with our students is to hear multiple perspectives and to look for the silenced history. So really, we're trying to elevate our students, prepare our students, get our students actively engaged beyond voting. Civic engagement is way beyond voting, and they are primed and ready for this work and excited and ignited to be part of the change in Albany that we know you all have to offer. And I think that you will see our students as a gift, just as we do, and you will be absolutely delighted by some of the ideas and the questions that they have created for you that Sierra and Eric are gonna volley over to you guys as they, what they want to know from you, what you can do for them to get them involved, get them excited, and actually get them working and doing, because they are ready to take the action steps that they need to make our community a strong community and a better community for themselves in the future.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all that you educators do to shape young children's minds. There is so many amazing people on the Zoom call, am I right? I mean, it's just awesome. And now to introduce you to another amazing person, I'm gonna introduce you to the Director of Youth Council, Barry Walston. Barry?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for participating. And we are excited about, again, the collaboration with all the partners here. I'm not sure if people can hear me. I guess they can.
I can hear you.
Awesome. And in back of me are the scholars, some of the scholars from the NAACP Youth Council. And we are really excited about doing this work around social justice and social action. We are committed to the 5 game changers, which is on civic engagement, education, looking at criminal justice reform, as we know, raise the age is something that was significant for Black and Brown scholars. I will always refer to our young people as scholars, regardless of what has happened in their life. They will always be scholars. And so in looking at that trajectory, they want to challenge what's going on with the criminal justice system, the education system, also looking at health. They've been instrumental with looking at vaping, because we know vaping was one of the areas in which young people were impacted on. So we have scholars here that are cognizant, that they're committed. They do care about their communities. They do care about how they present themselves to the world. And so one of the things that at the Albany NAACP Youth Council is that we want to change the narrative. And the way of changing that narrative is making sure that we have partners who create the spaces, who value what they want to see and what they want to offer. And so we're always looking for, again, across the Capital District, young scholars who want to change their community and change the narrative. So thank you all. Thank you, NAACP. Thank you all of my heroes and sheroes out there that are sitting in governmental seats. And we ask, one of the things that was asked is, should the government be responsible? And, when we think about civic engagement, Mercedes didn't come the great person that she was without somebody visioning or having a vision about what she could be. So I would say that, yes, the government has a responsibility for its constituents. And we try to, make sure that our scholars understand what that relationship is. So thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Walston. You're so right. I remember my English teachers always encouraging me to read out aloud in class and just, really just pushing me. And, thinking back on that, it always starts with someone. So right now, this is my favorite part, because ultimately the mission of tonight's program is to expose students to all facets of local activism and things that matter in their neighborhood. So right now, we're going to hear from some prominent community groups and leaders. We're joined by Bakari Fox from Community Matters Incorporated, Renata Karma from the Poor People's Campaign, Pat Maxson from the League of Women Voters, Paul Collins from the Red Bookshelf, Amy Jones with Voix Noire, and Ronnie Mentor, founder of the Unshackled. So I'm going to open up the floor to let them share a little bit about their organization. And shortly after that, we have a special treat to share with you. So right now we'll start in order with Bakari from Community Matters. Bakari?
Hello, good evening all. And once again, always to see you, Mercedes, always good to see you. So basically, Community Matters, it was founded in October of 2019. Basically what we do in the community is after we attend rallies and protests, but what do you do after those rallies and protests? How do you help your community give back? So basically what we did, we just got done doing Litter the City. That was for the winter to help our homeless throughout the capital region. And last year, even now into this year, we do community resource walks and cleanups, which basically includes everybody of every ages, or all ages, excuse me, shall I say. And we do the work with other organizations as well. We pair with, Vocal New York. Soon we're doing an action with Vocal New York and the Free Store, which I'm excited about. We do these things to help our community because we can't say that we're doing the work if the work actually doesn't show. So those are the things that we're doing now. And we're also, we've been a part of Tax the Rich campaign and as well as HALT. Which basically did solitary confinement from mass incarceration. So we do a lot throughout Albany. A little bit of background basically of me, I grew up in South End of Albany all my life, where as time went by, I see resources deplete from my area. That included community centers, different things that we didn't have or that were no longer given anymore. Even if you remember back in the day, some of you may know the Weed and Seed program, which is no longer. So things have, slowed down, but how do we get those back for our people in Albany? And these are the things that we do. That's just a little bit of the background of it. These are things that we implement throughout the winter and the summer. We try to always stay active and everything being family oriented as well.
Ms. Karma?
Thank you for having me. I'm Karma. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm representing Poor People's Campaign today. So I'm going to start with what Poor People's Campaign is, what they do, and then what I do in Poor People's Campaign. So PPC is a national organization established by MLK precisely at the moment when his politics were becoming more radicalized and revolutionary. So he spoke of the interlocking evils of capitalism, racism, militarism, and ecological devastation. None of these are mutually exclusive. So PPC is MLK's legacy of radical revolutionary values. So our mission is to build people power by working around key unifying struggles such as healthcare, housing, incarceration, all while building leadership as we lead. We believe that this is how we make a movement strong, by empowering the community. So PPC's primary organizing strategy is to shift the narrative by shifting the narrator, which means giving the power and agency back into directly impacted folks who have been conveniently left out of the discussion. So this is exactly the reason why cities still think it's a good idea to gentrify their downtown areas as a way to combat homelessness, instead of just creating more affordable housing. Because poor people and the dispossessed have been left out of that conversation. This is also exactly the reason why the speakers line up at the Stop Asian Hate rally like 2 Mondays ago was conveniently mostly East Asian men, almost all politicians and business owners, and did not center women or even make space for intersectional feminism to talk about sex work and trafficking. Why did that happen? Because I was left out of that conversation. So I've dated several organizations in the capital region since I moved here like 6 years ago. And I wasn't even looking for an organization to join when I met PPC, and I fell in love with the people there. So they tagged me in as an emerging leader, and I was so struck by how open and welcoming they were to my ideas, my suggestions, my input, and my voice. Like, they didn't even know who I was, but they were like, you are a person, we're gonna treat you like one. And that's, I think, how I developed like my organizing skills for the most part, is through PPC, even though, I've been working in the movement for I don't know how long. So it seemed like any issue that I was passionate about and brought to the table, they were super supportive. And that's how I became a co-chair of the Care Team Working Group. So what we aim to do is to address personal and communal trauma in the hopes of nurturing like emotional well-being and healing, and also developing skills in the areas of de-escalation, conflict resolution, and transformative justice. This is just where I wanted to take things because that's what I'm really passionate about. But I love that PPC just has space for everybody to do what they want, to bring their full selves to the table, and nurture that. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Karma. Pat?
Sorry, unmuting. We're kind of both ends of the spectrum. I'm Pat Maxon, and I'm representing the League of Women Voters of Albany County tonight. I feel more gray-haired than usual. For those of you who have or haven't worked with the League of Women Voters, the League came out of the fight to get women the right to vote. And although I haven't been around for the whole term of it, New York led the way partly and got the vote here in New York in 1917. In 1919, the League of Women Voters of the US was founded. And if you are a member of the League of Women Voters, you're a member at all those levels. You're a member here in Albany County, a member of the New York State League of Women Voters, and a member of the National League of Women Voters. As someone mentioned just a few minutes ago, some of what you're going to be talking about is what you want to have happen after you vote. But a lot of the work that the League of Women Voters puts in has to do with making sure people know how to vote and that they're able to vote and that they know what they're voting for. So there is some part of the mechanics that is part of what we do here at the League. Basically, the League's purpose, and I'm going to do this verbatim because we are made up of volunteers, of anyone who subscribes to the League's purposes. It's not just women. It's anyone who subscribes to the League's purposes. I think we have 11 lifetime members, and some of the Albany High students that we're going to be talking to tonight have been carrying on projects with us already. So it spans the age range and all kinds of people. The couple of things I want to tell you is that in those nuts and bolts, we encourage informed and active participation in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and we influence public policy through education and advocacy. The processes of the League are perhaps a bit more deliberate than some organizations you may belong to, but you can count on us to be nonpartisan, which is part of the most important part of our mission. We are a political group that is nonpartisan. We may conduct candidate forums in your area for all of the parties concerned. We may conduct voter education. Right now, we are in the process of working on the 411 system so that you can call up and find out where your polling place is, who's running for office, and for our elected officials, please make sure you fill out your 411 form so people can be directed to you. And the League has worked with students and teachers in the Albany City School District. We have worked on development of social studies courses in civic engagement. We have a program called Students Inside Albany, which usually takes students through the process of governmental operations. Last year that wasn't able to happen because of the pandemic, but the good news about the bad news is if you go to the New York State League of Women Voters website, the program that they would have been offering last year in 2020 is available to you to find out how do you access government, how do you find committee meetings, where is that bill now? It's on the New York State League of Women Voters of New York State website. Hopefully, we can engage some of the marvelous energy that's being discussed here. The newsletter or the bulletin of the public policy issues that the League is working on right now is also contained there in the bulletin, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks so much for having me, and it's very exciting to be here.
Thank you, Pat. And I saw Karma, she said, BIPOC to the front. Okay, so next we're gonna hear from Paul Collins with the Red Bookshelf. Paul?
Hey, good evening, everybody. First and foremost, thanks for having me. This is an incredible opportunity for the NAACP, so very grateful to even be included. To be very clear, I'm Batman. And we definitely need the help of young people because when we talk about being included, a large part of them is reaching them where they're at. I have a Facebook page that gets a lot of attention, but I heard the kids are not even on Facebook anymore. So we could really use some help with, reaching them. Because at the Red Bookshelf, a big part of what we do is about access. We believe that if young people have access to opportunities, to reading, that they'll take advantage of those opportunities. And we've seen it happen. Yeah, TikTok. I need some help with TikTok. I don't do the dances, none of that. But, we need help because it's all about meeting people where they're at. When we're talking about civic engagement, it's about engaging people in a meaningful way and taking those steps and those actions to make sure that they're included. So we could definitely use some help from our young people on that. But at the Red Bookshelf, a lot of what we do is a coordination of resources. We work together with a lot of other organizations just to provide the biggest impact we can and to provide actual opportunity for young people. So in addition to the bookshelves that we have that give away free books, we also do workshops where young people create their own films, where they write the script, they write the dialogue, they hold the camera, they shoot the whole thing so that they're learning a career path at the same time as they're practicing literacy. We honestly believe in those doors opening up that our young people will take advantage of them. Those become the people that stick around, that live in Albany, that have success in Albany, get careers in Albany, become taxpayers in Albany, and that all helps to build, and improve our quality of life here. So a lot of what we do is we tell our young people, what you do defines you. In a very honest way. I say I'm Batman because I'm honestly dedicated to my city. I'm dedicated to the young people, working, and I'm dedicated to working with other people. So we have our group of Titans. Those are our young people in high school that they go out, we volunteer. We talk about offering value and how you can help other people. So we definitely need young people. We try and engage them and understand that social responsibility is theirs just because it's the right thing to do. Not because you'll get paid, not because of this, but it's more than that. It's about a pride about where you're from. It's about empathy and really caring about other people. And it's about not really relying on just, elected officials or anything else to come and save the day. It's about creating what you can here and creating opportunities with what you have. So again, with our young people, we do what's right because it's right. That's the only reason we need. And we try and do that. So any young people that want to help us out with that, more than welcome.
Thank you, Paul. And just as a reminder, as we go on, you guys can, I see that you're very active on chat. You can put in links, website addresses, emails, or anything so that people can engage with you, contact with you, just in case they can't stay on the whole time, whatever that might be, but just to let people know where they can follow up with you through that. So next we have Amy Jones of Voix Noire.
Hi, everyone. It's like Paul said, it's really excited to be here with all of these change agents, especially my comrades on the ground, Ronnie Minter, Paul Collins Hackett, Bakari Fox, those of us who have really had our boots on the ground in this really, really hard time the past year and a half. 2 years, and figuring out what to do, like Vakari said, if our politic is Black Lives Matter. And when your politic is Black Lives Matter, it is not popular, it is not sexy, it has actually been related to things that are incredibly unpopular and do not check the boxes of what we call respectability politics. Respectability politics are what let you in the room. And where I organize, we do not subscribe to respectability politics. That is why we serve mostly, that is why we serve Black marginalized genders, which are Black women and non-binary femmes, trans women, gender non-conforming folks, first, because we have to keep them safe first. When I was, I know when I was organizing with Voix Noire, we organized mutual aid in that we got direct donations from folks on the internet, and we would send Instacart and grocery orders to folks who needed them nationally on the internet. As soon as last May happened and we anchored the organizing for the 7,000 people that converged upon Albany, and then all of the things that transpired afterwards, I realized that we needed mutual aid right here on the ground in Albany, especially when the pandemic hit and all the schools were closing and the kids were going home. I realized that parents needed more meals than they ever needed before at home. They needed Chromebooks, they needed Wi-Fi, and they needed help with housing, staying housed to support their rent. Most folks, a lot of folks live one paycheck away from kind of falling off that cliff into abject poverty, into a financial crisis. And so I started the Albany Fund for Black Lives, and where we collect donations every day, and we just give them out electronically via PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. I'll go to the bank and go get the cash. It doesn't matter. And during this pandemic, we've raised over $250,000, and we've marshaled that to individual families. There is no application. There is no red tape. You have to come into my inbox or send a friend, say, Amy, I need help with this. I am $1,500 behind in my rent. I need groceries, and my child needs a Chromebook. I have to keep my Wi-Fi on. These are emergent needs that, one thing that people do not think that poor people deserve is cash. And we created equity where there was none, and it is unprecedented. And I'm grateful that mutual aid happened on such a large scale during the pandemic, because mutual aid is the way that Black and Brown folks have always taken care of one another. I'm extremely proud of my sister, Jamela Anderson, for making the cover of Time magazine for her free food fridge. I think it's incredibly, incredibly important. And that is what we do. I did call her up and said, you could have brought all of us with you. So there was a gang of us, but that's something that I think is extremely important. And that's what I do with my organizing. I make sure that there's a gang of us there. Shalonda Faircloth and Dominique Vaccaro do the 518 Free Store in Schenectady, which is only in Schenectady right now because it's all they have the capacity to do. Literally through couponing and donations, they have created a free Instacart. It is unprecedented. Because of COVID, they created a free Instacart. Don't look too much into it. People give them money, they extreme coupon, they go buy food, they go buy medicine, feminine products, diapers, formula, and you fill out an order form and they do it non-contact onto your porch, free Instacart. And they serve 50 families in Schenectady. So mutual aid is incredibly important. What Vakari is doing is incredibly important. What Ronnie Minter is doing is incredibly important. I too am formerly incarcerated, and intercommunal violence is what began activating me. I worked on the law enforcement assisted diversion project in my city, and I worked as an offender workforce development specialist, helping folks coming home from prison get jobs. And my work just moved from someone who needed to advocacy to becoming an advocate to organizing mutual aid like I do now. So this is an incredible panel, an incredible place for civic engagement. I'm honored to be here with you guys, and I'm excited to see what this work's gonna bring.
Thank you, Amy. Let's just give you another round of applause for that. I mean, I know all of these groups are doing some amazing things. I want to give a round of applause to them too. But that is really, really something amazing. And Jamela making the cover time. When you see one of your own from your community, you feel like everybody feels like they win. You know what I mean? So it's more of this and more of this engagement and sharing with people that just makes everything like, wow, you know, you're like, I get it. I get why everybody does this. I get why I do this. I get why I feel this way. So next I want to introduce Ronnie Mentor, founder of Freedom Unshackled. Ronnie Mentor.
Hello, I'm here. I'm just like on 2 or 3 Zooms at the same time, but I'm here. Hi, Karma. Yes, it's going down. Sunny, everybody. Where do I start? Ronnie and formerly incarcerated. Amy threw that out there, so I might as well piggyback on it. So I'm formerly incarcerated, no problem. And I need to say that my civic engagement process started while I was incarcerated. And it was during that time that I wrote a program called Sisters Healing Old Wounds while at Albany Correctional Facility that was brought up under the AIDS Institute HIV grant for Rules Opportunity. That program is still going on in Albion today. It's a volunteer program where women come and talk about their issues of childhood traumas or things that they need to heal from. So piggybacking off of that idea I had in Albion after I came to Albany from Queens working with Father Young, I asked the AIDS Institute if I could have my name back. And the first thing I started was Sisters Healing Old Wounds. I've had several conversations with the great mayor there about Sisters Healing Old Wounds and the work that we do with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated women. However, during the pandemic, when we started looking at a lot of the good work that we were doing at the Capitol building kind of coming to a halt, so to speak, because we were pretty much just taken out of the Capitol, right? We started thinking about how can we keep the momentum going, keep politicians engaged in our conversation around clemency. And I got on board with the Fair and Timely bill and the elder parole bill and whole solitary confinement. I got on board on all of that. So I came up with a wonderful group of people. Some are on this Zoom with me now. I'll introduce them in a second. And we came together with the Freedom Unshackled Coalition. This coalition works with other organizations who are doing work within the criminal justice system. We're trying to combat issues that impact men and women who are touched by the criminal justice system. Our largest campaign right now is trying to get the governor's office to have clemency 4 times a year instead of once a year. We have gotten some great momentum with working with Assemblyman John McDonnell and Senator Breslin, and hopefully we can get that going great. Very excited about the work with HALT. And just recently, we're going to start working with Senator Montgomery on the school to prison pipeline. And so that's very important to me. And so I think that our alliances with organizations put us in a nice position to know what everyone is doing and at the same time take that work, tie it up in a nice bow and enhance it a little better. So we work well with the Poor People's Campaign, Vocal New York, Community Matters is a favorite of mine. And we just go where we can and plug in. And I'm big on filling in gaps. We see a gap, let's see how we can fill it up. And let's see what we can do to do the work on it. So along with me on this Zoom, I have Dominique St. Pierre, Toriani St. Pierre, and Amaya St. Pierre. And they work with the Freedom Unshackled Coalition, and they do our podcast. And the reason I asked them to come on is because they're the youthful side of Freedom Unshackled, right? And we're talking to high schoolers and just thinking of Youth FX and the good work that Byron does with them. I wanted to show that we have youth working with us who do our podcast. So we're very excited to be a part of this. Thank you for having us. Thank you to the NAACP. That's a good look. I've done a lot of work with the NAACP over the years. And so that's definitely great. And I'm just here. Like, guys, I'm here, I'm around. I'm here to help where we can, plug in where we can, but our primary focus is really to humanize the men and the women who are behind bars. I am absolutely a 4-time, 5-time, 6-time loser, right? Statistically, I should not be on this Zoom with you guys. I should be on account in Albion. That's what statistics say. But I'm living proof that things can change. You can trust and believe that Veronica Ronnie Minter is living proof. I'm not a weekend warrior or a hit and miss. I am a sure enough convict, okay? And so if I can change, that means anybody can change. And so we just want to make sure that through the Freedom Unshackled Coalition and through Sisters Healing Old Wounds, that we put a human side to this. So clemency 4 times a year. Please remember that. Poltanko, Ms. Fahey, remember that. I'm coming to your offices. Know that. So clemency 4 times a year. Thank you. Yay, Ronnie.
Yes, Ronnie. Yay, Ronnie. We are so glad that you are here. And thank you for that. It's so inspirational. And thank you for inviting those youth. That's the special treat I was talking to you about. Now we're going to show you how like the youth put things in action from these 4 group of youth activists that created their very own podcast on social justice. Dominique, Toriana, Rainey, and Amaya St. Pierre. You guys take it away.
Well, hello, you got it right. I'm Amaya. This is my older sister, Toriana.
And I'm Dominique. We're in separate areas.
Separated right now. But, and then our little sister, Rainey, she's actually away in a different room on Zoom. She goes to UNH. But we're 4 sisters from New Hampshire. I'm 22. I'm 26.
And I'm 25.
Yeah, and we definitely felt a need to get involved with more social justice work, and we ended up getting involved in one group, and then through that group, we met Ronnie, and Ronnie was really getting the ball rolling with a lot of different stuff going on in New York, and even though we're in New Hampshire, you know, we can still be helpful through Zoom and all that good stuff. So she wanted an outlet to get people's stories out there, for people's voices to be heard. So she definitely got us motivated to start up Freedom Unshackled, the podcast. So that's out on Spotify. If Dominique, you wanna.
Yeah, so we interview formerly incarcerated people and those that are affected by prison systems. So that can be families as well. So we interviewed a mother whose son is currently incarcerated. And we basically let them, the interviewees, lead the conversation because that's why we're there. So they speak on their issues, what they want to highlight. And then we listen and broadcast it to hopefully get more involved. So we, like we said, we live in New Hampshire, and that's, New York is more progressive than our state is. And in terms of clemency as well, like New Hampshire, it's very rare to have people out on pardons and clemency. So we're hoping that we can take what we're learning from New York as well and spread that, because in reality, borders are created so that policies are limited and it takes longer to get anything done. So yeah, it's been a great opportunity to work with Ronnie, and then also this as well, which is awesome. And I know that I know we're gonna go back to the questions from the high schoolers too, but one of the questions that they asked was how social media can be helpful and hurtful as well. So ways that we've seen it be helpful, we've been so connected with Ronnie in this group, despite being all the way in New Hampshire, and we're able to make a difference in that way. Posting on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, you can get so much information. I like the question that they asked was how it could be hurtful and hinder. And we were just thinking, we were talking before this of how like all of our social media is so specifically curated to what we want to see. And that's how things like people in prison can be forgotten, because it's not something people want to talk about. So it's not even popping up on your For You page or things of that nature. You have to actually go seek it out and find it. So if we're able to somehow make it more popular of a topic that's discussed, maybe we can get more people involved. And especially with this, getting younger people involved, so it can continue forever and not just be a topic. Honestly, it's not even discussed ever really in the media. So it's something we really want to bring up more. So thank you for having us.
Thank you guys so much for that. It's so awesome. Be sure to put a link to your podcast if you haven't already in the chat box, because we can all learn more from that as well. And like, you know, everything can be transformed into a learning tool. And, you know, this part of tonight's broad Q&A recording will be used to generate a lesson plan for students, which they will watch back in the classroom. So I'm going to come full circle to the community organizations that I introduced to you earlier. And I'm going to start by asking them a couple of questions. I'm asking that you keep your answers brief, less than 1 minute, because after that, the students have a few questions for you on things about they want to learn from you as well. So I'll start with Vakari from Community Matters again.
I'm sorry, what exactly did you say, questions, or what exactly did you?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure I just tee you up right there. So I'm gonna start by asking you a couple of questions to get to know more about your organization. So the first one is, what social issues is your organization currently working to change or better in the Capital Region, and what steps are you presently taking to accomplish that goal? I mean, I know that I worked with you and learning more about the Litter the City program, which was amazing. Can you just give me some more examples of that and things that you guys are doing that you might have coming up in the works as well?
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is fighting homelessness in New York State. Basically in our downtown area of Albany, even in Schenectady, even up in Saratoga County, we see a lot of homelessness. We have worked with different organizations, even in the tri-state, plus including more upstate New York, even as far as Buffalo, and getting hats, scarves and gloves onto parks, into benches, wherever the case may be, even as helping people the best way that we can, so you didn't get shelter for the night, or giving them water, snacks, whatever we can do. That's what we were doing with Litter the City, as well as bringing resources to our homeless as well, pairing them up with people that can help them, like Hattis, DSS. I even per se have helped people with filling out DSS applications to at least receive some type of food stamps, anything that I can do. That's what we've been doing to fight injustice around here. And that's also doing rallies, like I said, in Tax the Rich is one of the rallies that we have been with Local New York. HALT was one of the other ones within mass incarceration. Being on those platforms and making sure that we understand as Community Matters how we can help our other people too. Education is fundamental. So the things is that, and in order to educate ourselves as well as what's going on around us. So that's the other things that how we've been fighting injustices, and as well as going to rallies and other things. So those are the ways that, you know, we've been staying in tune and keeping ourselves educated as far as things going on in New York State.
Okay, thank you so much. And so for right now, I'm going to switch it over because we have quite a bit of questions, just a little bit over like 10 questions, but they were selected from Albany students out of like 88 questions or something like that. So these were some of the curated questions from that. So these kids came up with some great questions for you guys. So I want to make sure I say them exactly as written. So let me go over to Paul. I'll start with the first one. With the help of these organizations, what could the future of communities look like? I guess in relation to P3, the NAACP. I mean, I know you do a lot within the community to kind of like integrate existing organizations like, you know, the Boys and Girls Clubs and things like that. So what do you think that this whole classroom civic engagement thing could do within the Red Bookshelf?
I think this offers a unique opportunity for our young people to have a tangible path into government. You know, I think a lot of what we do is a lot of volunteering. It's a lot of helping on the ground, you know, addressing day-to-day needs. But, you know, specifically with our things, I see opportunities to examine how do you get into politics? As the mayor actually mentioned, those questions are absolutely important. If you can't visualize a path there, it's hard to go down that path. So I think these partnerships and this coordination of resources will really help us identify actual tracks, to actually help our young people along so they can get involved in a tangible way. So with us, with our Titans, we actually talk to them and say, how many votes does it take to get, elected? How many votes what signatures does it take to get on a ballot? When are the primaries? What do endorsements look like? So we have all those conversations. So while our young people are actually helping and volunteering in the community, they still understand how to reach that broader impact. So with this partnership and these new opportunities, I think, having the congressman on and Ms. Fahey, there's just a lot of room to grow and for that impact to be magnified in a larger capacity.
Thank you, Paul. And Karma, you were talking a little bit about things that were overlooked at the rally that you went to. How could some of those points that you brought up, how can we use government and the state capital to your advantage to kind of like amplify those types of things?
I don't even know how we would use the government at this point. I mean, it's not like anybody introduced specific legislation. I think it's about centering folks whose, experiences are those experiences that we are using to generate grief in our community, just so we can commodify them for votes and for business. Like, that was the whole point of the rally from my point of view, and that was not okay. Legislation wasn't even really talked about.
So talk a little bit about, because is it something to be said, like when community organizers and grassroots organizers kind of shift from being in the community and doing that work to being in government, is there a way to transition into that? Is there any benefit if those types of people do that to working with those people that you already knew were boots on the ground and then they transition into that? Is there some kind of way, because we know that, people in government, they are like the people that take those, the concerns of the people and make larger legislations, but all too often we've seen that sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So is there any way that there can be some kind of balance and bridge to that?
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about, I'm not going to say that there's no place for that kind of involvement, right? I know a lot of people who are running for elected positions currently, and they are and still will continue to be a part of this movement. I think it's more about not letting yourself get so disconnected from your community. I mean, these are already community members who are running. They are trusted by the community, so I have no problem with giving them my vote.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick with you for one more question. What do you think? Why do you think that they get so disconnected? Why do you think it just, as they go further and further into community, they just get so disconnected?
I don't know. I feel like that's a question better for elected officials. I can't really speak on their behalf.
Fair, true. Thank you so much. The next question, I'm gonna shoot this one over to Ronnie. Tell me, the one student wrote, how can students become successful without being law enforcement or healthcare providers?
That's cute, because I was just thinking about alliances, right? So a lot of people, I got a lot of pushback because one of my favorite alliances in Albany happens to be Sheriff Apple, right? And a lot of people are like, you working with the police? No, I'm not. I have to make sure those women in Albany County Jail get what they need to survive Albany County Jail. And so what I need to do is and what I did was form an alliance with the sheriff, and now we work hand in hand to make sure that the women over there are okay. So are there still issues? Do him and I still bump heads? Yes, but overall, the sheriff has absolutely been an asset and a help in getting those women even his guidance helped me get a man out of Saratoga County Jail. So forming those alliances, and you don't actually have to be part of law enforcement and government to do those changes. You just have to, someone said to me one time that sometimes you don't get a lot out of screaming at people. And I think that's kind of sort of why I personally, this is Ronnie speaking, have taken a little bit of a back seat to a lot of these rallies. Not that I'm not in support of, I just think there's a better way. And so I've learned now to have a conversation. I don't agree with everything Assemblyman McDonald does, but I legitimately have conversations with him now. Prior to that, I was running around screaming at him, right? He wasn't trying to hear me. He was running every time he saw me. But now I can email him and I can say, hey, I don't understand what you're talking about with this. He'll call me at 8:30 at night and we'll have a conversation. And so I think it's important for people to hold on to their convictions, but at the same time, find a better way to do it. Now, I worked with the College of St. Rose for 3 years in a row. We had interns from the College of St. Rose working with Sisters Healing Old Wounds. And those kids, they were from the criminal justice program there. Those young kids did an amazing job with us. And what we did, because some of them wanted to be COs, and I know you were talking about what happens when politicians stop being grassroots, but what happens to a kid who has this idea in their head of what it's like to become a correctional officer, and then they become a correctional officer and they get caught up in the culture of corrections, right? They lose sight of the big picture, and now they become this Wyatt Earp in the facility. So what I did was with Major Elwell at Schenectady County Jail, he allowed me to bring the interns into Schenectady County Jail. And we walked around the jail, and the interns got to meet people, and they got to sit on the groups that I ran at the jail. And that made all the difference. I think I have a unique perspective of stuff because I had the unique opportunity of working with Father Young. And if you know Father Young, if you ever met Father Young, it's just a different type of person. And I was blessed, I need to say that he took me up under his wing and I was able to learn from him. And so with that being said, I'm one of those people who definitely will talk to a Republican, even though I don't believe anything they have to say out their mouths. But I will talk to them and have a conversation with them because at the end of the day, I have to save lives. And that's what this is all about. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Ronnie. So then we have the next question. I'm gonna turn this one to Paul. The student wrote, do you have any recommendations on good literature to learn and read more about your cause?
Yeah, first of all, say if you want to learn about my cause, you just start reading all those Batman comic books, watching all the Batman movies. That'll show you, the mission comes first. But for me, I mean, if you want to learn about, our organization, not for nothing, I direct you to our website. That's the easy one. But I'd more so encourage anyone who wants to know more to shoot me an email, give me a call. We're all quarantined still. We have time to have conversations. And I'm more than willing to have a conversation with anyone about what we do, how to get involved, and why what we do is so important. The why is always the thing. There's a lot of different causes, like you had mentioned, Mercedes. There's a lot of different areas. There's a lot of things that need help that could use some tender loving care. So why we do what we do is very important. So I encourage people to come out, mask up, but come out, check out, our organization, come volunteer with us. Just this morning, actually, we partnered with Catholic Charities to give away food and books to people. We gave away about 400 some odd books today, but I invite people to come out, take a look at what we're doing. We do it every single day. And if anybody, wants to know more about it, just come and check us out. That's what I'd offer.
Thank you, Batman. All right, this one's for Amy. Amy, the student writes, what challenges do you face when trying to achieve your goals?
Sorry. No one believes poor people deserve money. period. It's very difficult to get poor people cash. We want to give them gift cards. We want to give them, leftovers. We want to give them stuff from our closets. It's very difficult to move people from a mindset of charity to solidarity, and to really realize, like, I grew up in the, I don't know, somebody's not muted, but I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I held hands and sang "We Are the World." And even my 23andMe like says "We are the world." And I want that. But before we can have that, we have to lift up the most marginalized among us, and that is Black marginalized genders. And BIPOC folks. I have a very exciting partnership with Rainn Wilson, who is Dwight Schrute from The Office. We work together on some Indigenous water rights stuff. And also we're going to be working together on some, hopefully in the very near future, the state OCFS and Dwight's friends in Hollywood, we're going to pair up together and bring the Terra Firma Reentry Project to life, which is reentry housing for women coming home from periods of incarceration from all over the state and the 518, so even the county jails. So it's like, makes my heart cry, because it was actually my reentry process that allowed me to get traction in my life and stay here and take care of my children and raise them. I'm 50. I haven't been to prison in 20 years, and I went back and forth to jail for 15 years. My children, it was the biggest heartbreak of my life to not be here for my children, who are now 30 and 21. My 21-year-old is about to graduate from Cal State East Bay. And I never graduated from college. I have a high school diploma from 1989, which is getting pretty worn out. So just that, no matter what your background and your degrees, and whether you are a politician or whether you do come from way, way different circumstances, you know what I mean? Even religion says that the Creator is no respecter of persons. So you do not have to check all these boxes in order to make a real impact in your community. And if there's one thing that I understand, and I will shut up now, is that people are experts in their own lives. If we stop having these $1 million circles of people with degrees and with millions of dollars worth of salaries, taking up all the grant money, and just ask directly impacted folks what they need, they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you in such an impactful way that they're going to be able to stay home from prison for 20 years. So that we can be the ones creating equity out of thin air, and that we can be the ones creating mutual aid and like lifting each other up. And that is true solidarity.
Wow, thank you, Amy.
And that is why I won the Henry Johnson Award. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I love it. So Vakari, I'm gonna send this one over to you. This one is a really big one. The student writes, what can we do in our communities to help eliminate systemic racism?
Be an advocate, speak up. You know, you are the future. You are the seed that needs to be sowed right now. I'm not saying that it's not our time to shine, but it's definitely our youth's time to shine. You know, that's the biggest thing. I tell youth all the time, you know, learn how to speak up, regardless of what background you came from. You have a voice, you know, regardless of anything. That's the biggest thing. And to also, you know, be at the front lines too, in your own way. You don't have to attend every rally. You don't have to attend anything, anything really big. Just spread the word. Like, you do TikTok videos, you do all this stuff. Use your platform and use your voice to the best of your abilities. And I'm just going to say this too, for young Black women, speak up even louder. You know, we need you too, especially around these times right now. That's really all I can say. Is, for me, it's a big question, but it's an answer that women in general, we've been taught not to speak our minds. And I think that's the biggest thing. Just speak up, tell it to your friends. We need to sow that seed.
Thank you, Bakari. And this question is for Pat, student writes, how does being in Albany, a smaller city, but still the capital, affect your work?
Clearly, if we're taking legislative action, it's right in our backyard. We can also sometimes host our allies from around the state who are coming here to take action. But you still have to know the tools, and that's partly what we've been working on. I think even in city government, a lot of people, even my age, don't understand who their representatives in city government are, who's making the decisions in city government. They read the newspaper and they're not sure who these people are. So that's why we do some of the nuts and bolts that we do at the League. One of the opportunities we're trying to engage some of the students in is Observer Corps. What bodies are meeting in your, is it your school district? Is it your city? Is it your neighborhood association? What are the bodies that are meeting around our community, and what kind of voice can you have there? How can you magnify your influence by knowing who's doing what and how you can work with them? So I'm not sure if that's getting at what you were asking, Mercedes, but that's what it looks like from here.
Oh, that was answered very well. Thank you. I'm going to send this back over to Karma. Why is it so hard for people to come together despite what they look like on the outside?
I think it's by design. I think it's a narrative. I think we've been taught that the differences are all that matter, but bridging these differences takes a lot of work. Solidarity takes a lot of work. Building these relationships with people takes a lot of work, and some people just do not want to do that work.
Thank you, Karma. Okay, and for Ronnie, I'll send this one to you. Where do you get funding from?
That's a hard one. So the first initiative was a little unique because we were trying to get dignity bags in the hands of formerly incarcerated women, but we got initiative dollars from the AIDS Institute because it kind of all fit. We wrapped it up with HIV prevention. Through Freedom Unshackled, we did a fundraiser. We had our first fundraiser. We just recently became incorporated, so kudos to us. So that just recently happened. Sisters Healing Old Wounds is already a 501c3, but Freedom Unshackled isn't yet. And so we're on our way with Freedom Unshackled. So the hope is with us bringing in different people, and we work with Deborah Williams Muhammad here in Albany, and she's amazing. So once we get all of our ducks in a row, then we'll start reaching out for funding opportunities. There's certain things that, there was some grants being offered in Albany, but you have to have all the right pieces in place. Like, you need to have somebody. I'm an awesome grant writer, but I can't do that financial piece. So we need to pull in someone who can speak to that financial piece. So you have to have all the pieces in place. You can't just send out a grant and say, okay, give me some money. You have to really be able to say, and then also say, can I carry out these deliverables, right? A lot of people take these dollars and then they can't do the job that is required of the grant. And then that's when they get tripped up too. So it's important that when you try to get money that you're actually able to deliver on what these dollars are for. Just don't take the money and just be like, okay, I have this money now, helter skelter me, because you run yourself into some issues like that. So right now what we do is, again, we ride the backs of other organizations right now. We work well with the Poor People's Campaign. We work well with Voix New York. So we're just bringing it all together that way, but soon come. But I wanted to say something that you asked a little while ago, Mercedes, about individuals who were grassroots or worked in the community and then became elected officials. I've had a really big problem with watching some people who I thought were really amazing advocates here in Albany then become politically attached. I didn't even see it coming in their future that they will become in the political arena, and they lose perspective. Sometimes they forget what they said they got into this for. I don't know if they get caught up in the machine of it all. I don't know what happens, but you can actually see a person who had an Angela Davis afro, perma hair, and the next thing you know, she's this whole different person. Like, what happened to you? What really? And I think that was Carmen who said that's a question that they have to, that's something internal that they're gonna have to answer for themselves, because my God, I've watched it happen with so many different people that I'm so disappointed in. And Albany has a very interesting political machine here, and it's very interesting. I'm discouraged by some common council leaders who we haven't seen since the pandemic started. How do you want my vote, but you haven't been around here to check on your constituents to see if they even made it through the pandemic? How do you do that? Where does that make sense at? So when you start talking about civic engagement, that also doesn't just stay on the CBOs or the organizers in the street. It's also, we put you people in these positions to represent us, and then you fail us, because I'm not feeling that I haven't seen my elected official around here since the pandemic. I'm not feeling it one bit. So, but then you come on these Zooms and these platforms and you talk nice, and I can't wait for them to come knock on my door for a vote. I'm writing in people, wherever I'm writing in. I'll write in Scooby-Doo if I have to. And Pat, I want to thank you for all the hard work you did at the jail, getting people registered to vote. Because I was on the phone with the sheriff about that, getting those women registered to vote, because they was trying to hide that from them. ISU was trying to keep the voter registration out of the hands of those incarcerated people over there who had the right to vote. So thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. So I can segue to the next question, and it'll be for Pat. Who are the people and groups you work with to make change? I mean, in particular, to reach people in certain communities, you have to know the key players. You have to know the community organizers and the grassroots. Who are those? Who are the people that you particularly reach out to first to say, okay, we need to educate them on this new voter law, or we need to educate them on when this date that changed to go in and register, or whatever that may be? Who are those people?
Sorry, baby booner in the house. I wasn't muted. I think we have antenna out everywhere, because I think one of the things, we have a whole lot of League of Women Voters members who go to the polls to report in results after the elections happen. So we've got to have connections in senior centers. We've got to know our way around in the towns that we live in. We are working, as someone mentioned earlier, in coalition in order to make sure that registration at the jail gets done. We work with some of the immigration and naturalization people. We usually are present at those kinds of ceremonies and make sure that new citizens are advised of their rights. So those are some of everybody around, everyone at this meeting. I'm taking notes madly about everything that you're saying because we want to be part of what's happening in our neighborhoods. I'm trying to think who I'm missing because I've been listening very hard. I think that begins to go. It's a fluid thing based on what we're working with. The school is an important partner with us because young voters are a huge part of what we do. The library has been an enormous partner for us to do registration and voter education information. The library is a terrific place to do it. This year, like everybody else, we accidentally ended up having to do a lot more online than we thought we were going to do. And we've been communicating with a lot of people who we did not traditionally hear from in-person kinds of meetings. So we try to reach out in not only to which groups, but in which ways. And hopefully that's something that our younger partners are going to be able to help us be more effective at. I'm looking around to see if I forgot any of the groups here because we have our antenna out all the time. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. I mean, I could sit here and talk to y'all all night. I feel like I'm learning so much, and I know you guys too. And it's like every time I ask a question, I learn so much. But right now we do have to wrap up. But we hope that this marks the beginning of new partnerships between. I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Barry. I just wanted to offer one thing. I know we talked about what young people can do. I think as all the organizations, especially the Albany NAACP, and what we would like to offer is that change can't happen unless young people are taught what leadership development looks like, right? And so yes, they have their voice, and yes, we want to create the space for their voice. However, there is our responsibility to make sure that, one, that they are doing it in a very safe way, two, that they're going to be honored in the way that their voice should be heard. And so I would say as organizations, we do have a role in crafting sometimes the narrative, creating programs, creating activities, and also giving them the tutelage that they so deserved as we moved into our leadership. So it just doesn't happen. It's not about going out there with the bullhorn and not being able to affect the change that you want. So I just wanted to offer that. Thanks.
Mercedes, can I just quickly say congratulations on your new weekend anchor position, permanent position.
Thank you so much. You're like the, like if somebody doesn't have a horn to toot, you will toot that horn for you, for everyone. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I appreciate all of you all for being here from start to finish, really learning and engaging. And like I was saying, the P3 NAACP charter, we all hope that this is going to be a tool that will be used in the future for, a long time to come to get students to become more engaged and have civic education within schools. So we're going to wrap it up now, but I just want to open up the floor to any of the organizers if they had anything else that they wanted to say before we end this wonderful discussion.
I think, can I just chime in real quick and just echo what Barry had to say about teaching our children how to be effective leaders and community engagers. And, we talked a lot with P3 about this, and, we certainly have expectations for how people engage with our students to make these experiences positive for them. And know that, they are young, formidable people. And so they are going to, they're going to make mistakes, and we are hoping that you will guide them to make the right choices, to actively engage in this work, because it's something that they all want to do. And you all have so many important things to offer them, and not just the civic engagement aspect of their life, but in the next steps of their lives. And so we are preparing them to be their best selves and how they can interact with their community members and learn and grow from this process. I think that's probably one of the most important aspects of this partnership that we can have for our students.
I just want to say thank you for having us, because it is important that everyone on here knows that I'm real big on the word synergy. And it's important that we all know what we're all doing, right? It's normally the usual plays that we see. So I appreciate Sierra and Eric bringing us all together so Mayor Sheehan, Paul Tonko, Senator Fahey, they can see other organizations are actually out here doing this hard work. We're outside in the cold. We're outside doing this. We're on the phones. I call the mayor's office like twice a week. I don't even know she knows that. I speak to her staff regularly. And so, I mean, it's important for us to be seen too. Because I mean, and sometimes you're like, dang, do they even know that we're out here working this hard? And I mean, there's some like this one here, Vicari, Sunny, she's out there picking up garbage on her crew all over Albany, cleaning the streets. And they've literally watched council members ride past them and don't even wave, while they're out there in the cold picking up garbage. So it's important that you put a face and a name to some of these individuals on here. Thank you.
Can I also add, thank you, Ronnie, for saying everything that you've said tonight, but can I also add that this, not to undermine anybody's hard work, thank you all for the mutual aid that your organizations provide and all these bare necessities that the city should be doing. Why do we have to feed each other? Why do we have to help each other house each other? Why do we have to pick up the litter? Because the city cannot pick up the slack. It's a project of survival. Like, nonprofits should not be relied upon so heavily for these projects of survival. But we are.
I just wanted to say, be transparent, be in control, and speak up always. You never know if you're wrong or what direction you need to be placed in, not unless you ask the questions and say what's on your mind. That's one thing. I say this to everybody. I'm a 33, almost 32, sorry. I'm 33, and I'm still in college. I go to SCC for my human services degree. Never give up on what you believe in. We may take breaks, things may happen in life. This pandemic I took off 2 semesters because of this pandemic, but be transparent within yourself and always believe in yourself. Like I said, I am prime example of that. Minority background, I lived in downtown Albany all my life. You never know what could happen. Believe, be transparent. Transparency is key. That's all I'm gonna say.
I just like to end by saying that protest is incredibly important because the protest is the voice of the people and it is the voice of dissent. And someone told me once that only good kings listen to the voice of dissent. So if you're going to be king, be a good king, and good kings listen to the voice of dissent.
I'd like to welcome you all to the NAACP Youth Council, third Saturday, every at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Please, I put it in the chat, barryw513@gmail.com. And we do want to make you social change agents. And thank you, Mercedes.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I love this little part. This like reminds me of like when your auntie say, I'm gonna head out. And then, 15 minutes later, you at the door still talking about something. I love it. But you know what this means, you guys? This means that more of these conversations need to be had. I mean, we've been on here for almost 2 hours. Obviously, that is not enough time to really get in and, and understand what we can do and how we can have some synergy to make change. So we got to start organizing and doing more of these chats and Zooms and bounce off ideas and things that, sometimes you don't think that they're a problem, but like some things that Karma brought up, like, why should I answer that question? You need to be asking, just things, everyday things like that. So with that, I am going to have to end it here because I think Zoom is going to just shut us all down and we don't want to end it like that. But
Well, before we end, I just want to say thank you again to Mercedes and to P3 and Michael Elliott and the teachers and everyone and the congressman and the mayor and the assemblywoman to being a part of our series and being engaged and staying here. I'm excited of learning of these new organizations that are on the ground, they're in the trenches, they're doing the hard work. and you give us hope, you give our young people hope, and our young people will see this this video and we'll move from there. I also want to just tell you some of the things that are upcoming. We'll be planning Youth Speak Out, which is not just the NAACP, but with other agencies, and that's going to be April 3rd at 3 p.m. So Barry Walston will get that email out for the young people, because we said we want to hear their voice, and that's April 3rd. And then also coming up will be Meet the Candidates Forum. That's something that's a tradition of the Albany NAACP. We do them, and of course now we're doing it virtually. So we will be doing a Meet the Candidates Forum for the Albany mayor, for the mayor's race. And we'll be also doing a one for Meet the Candidates for Ward 5. So the targeted dates is June 1st and June 8th, but we'll be sending out formal invitations and formal information. And we see this as an opportunity that the young people can be on that Zoom and meet the candidates that are running for this office. So more details will be forthcoming, and that will be in June. But we want to plan, we want people to put it on their calendars. And again, thank you so much. And thank you again, Mercedes. And so for the closing words will come from none other than our president of the Albany branch of the NAACP, Deborah Brown Johnson.
Thank you. And I would like to say thank you to Miss Beverly Ivy and her team, to Miss Abby Gomes for the work that they did in putting this together in collaboration with the consultation of Sierra and Eric from P3. I was going to say something else, P3. And I thank you also to all the members of the NAACP who came out. I thank all of you, because there's some powerful information shared. And we know that information is power. We know the change that can be made with us working together. We all are not going to do the same thing, just as we've heard here today. And as we heard others say, there's gaps that we need to fill, but we respect the skill and the knowledge and the work and the effort that come from each and every one of you. And I think this is what we want the young people to see. And I also, although this kickoff is for the youth in school, we know that there are parents who also need this information. There are also parents that we want to work with to strengthen them, for them to understand as well, and to answer their questions, and for them to be able to be engaged in their communities in areas that they see fit. But also, I think at the end of the day, for us, for people of color, it is important for us to be involved in our communities. Change happens when we become involved, and we collectively are the people we've been waiting for to come. We are it. And so I'm so glad that you're here tonight. You can look forward to additional activities and programs as Beverly has shared and beyond from the NAACP. And we are here to work with all of you. So please feel free to reach out to us. We thank you. And if you're not yet a member, we ask that you become a member of the NAACP. If you need to renew, please do so. Renew your membership with the NAACP. We all will work together. Thank you and have a wonderful, blessed evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And you guys have a great night.